podcast. These are the China stories. I'm Mike Rice. I'm here in Beijing. It's very early in the morning because it seems that's what I do now. So, obviously, you've heard of the Minneapolis riots. Once again, this podcast seems to be about the U.S. I thought I was out, but then they pulled me back in. Of course, major concerns in the U.S. with things like the virus, and of course, everybody who is writing in the newspapers seems to hate Trump. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading the wrong newspapers. And now, we have the riots in Minneapolis because a cop, by his actions, I'm not sure his intent, I don't know, I can't read his mind, caused the death of a man. The cop was white, the man was black, and now Minneapolis burns. I don't understand riots. They're usually so poorly directed. If it was some sort of action that was meant to make a statement, it's not about making change. It's about anger and destruction. And so they burned down public housing that was being built. They vandalized stores and businesses of people who had nothing to do with this. And finally, they get around to burning down a police station, which, to me, you would think be the first target. Why would you bother going out if you're not going to go out and actually make change, rather than just cause destruction? Because at this point, you become a horde. The reason that I got on here this morning was because I started to see the immediate response. I had to look for the news to respond, but of course, if you go to Facebook or if you go to Instagram or if you go to any of the social media platforms, I can't even imagine what Twitter's doing right now. I don't even want to bother, which is why I'm not on Twitter. I saw somebody post a sticker that said, "Stop killing black people," and I had to stop for a second because I was like, well, duh. If you're killing black people, you should probably stop that because it's illegal and wrong. And then I realized what was being done, which is done very often, especially immediately after this. A couple of things happen. People who support the cops, people who have a much more conservative point of view, have a tendency to do things like, well, what was he doing that made the cop do that? I hear he resisted arrest. That's what the police say. And then there's the people who say, once again, a white cop has killed a black man. This country is racist. The whole system is racist. Rise up, people. Rise up and burn this MF to the ground. And of course, when we see people putting up little round stickers that say, "Stop killing black people." So you look at it and you say, yes, of course, stop killing black people. For those of you doing that, that's a bad thing. And then you realize this isn't about stopping killing black people. This is about saying, because if it were, we could look at national statistics for the last 10 years and see that the majority of black deaths in this country are at the hands of black people. That's not a myth. That's a statistic you can look up. It just seems that would have a bearing on this. When you realize that, however, you realize that this little sticker that says "Stop killing black people" isn't telling other black people to stop killing black people. It's telling white cops to stop killing black people. And they're absolutely right. White cops should stop killing black people. So, back to my point, my initial reason for addressing this whole issue. My advice is simple. Why don't you shut up until you get the facts? Like you, I have an emotion that says this cop did this. He's on video. He should have been fired. He was fired. It's not just all they're going to do, though, I hope. I hope they're going to convict this guy of either involuntary or voluntary manslaughter. And I'm telling you now, if they don't do something like that, then you're going to get more riots. And that's not because riots are right or even sensible. It's just because that's what happens. It's an unfortunate side of being in power. You have a responsibility to make sure you're not doing stupid things. I'd also like to know, did he actually resist? I would like to know. I don't think it's what you kill people for. Matter of fact, I know it's not what you kill people for. But do we have a viable case here to arrest and convict this officer? I think so. And do we need to know all the facts? Yes, I think so. Because if this kind of wilding, looting, business burning nonsense is going on at a time when people can't afford to have that happen in any way, not that they ever really could, then we need to start really looking at it. Furthermore, I really do believe they should have been stopped, the rioters. This kind of letting people blow off steam, nonsense. Step in, stop it, solve it right now. Then hang this cop out to dry. Show that you want justice and you're not interested in releasing the steam valve every few months and letting people who have nothing to do with the situation suffer. It's easy to sit here in China and comment on this stuff. It's easy to sit so many miles away and so many hours in the future and comment on the ground politics in the United States. It's easy to do in the United States, too. But I care about what happens to my country. And so, as this all goes on, I will continue to give you my 2 cents. It is time to reform the way people behave. Whether that means we figure out a way to re-enfranchise an entire race, whether it's true or not that there is actual systemic racism, you cannot deny that black people feel, have been made to feel, led to feel, actually have a reason to feel, you pick one, that they have been disenfranchised. And the cops have to change the way they do business. I hate to use the word scrutinize, but we really do need to start looking at what makes good and bad cops. I think that statistical model could easily exist, and we need to figure it out. So, here I sit in China early in the morning, and from so many miles away, I can almost see the glow and almost smell the smoke of another city falling to emotion that breeds violence, all caused by a lack of information. You've been listening to the China Stories with Michael Rice. I'm here in Beijing. Follow me on Podbean, YouTube, and Facebook. And you might want to catch my Instagram, Mike Rice in China, one word. Everybody, to quote Lawrence Fox, the world is wondrous wide. And as I always say, always be courageous and kind. And we'll see you next time.